All right, so we have our strips cut. We've started to work on some of these blocks. We've started to work on the smallest patches on the interior. And now our strips are starting to get kind of longer. What I wanted to show you here is what we're going to do in terms of piecing our strips to our sewn section so we get ultimate kind of accuracy, and then we don't have any warbling or wave as our block gets bigger and bigger. So we have like a 7.5-inch strip here, and what I'm going to do is put them right sides together, and it's at about this point that I'm going to start employing this technique. It's just a little tip basically for how you can get really nicely sewn seams that don't end up stretching the fabric. The first thing I'm going to do is, like I said, put the strips face right sides together, and I'm going to pin these two corners, the outer corners of the sewn section to the strip. With a piece that's this small, that's just 7.5 inches, that's probably where I'm going to stop. I'm going to take this to my machine, sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance, not taking my pins out till I get right to them. And one of the reasons I put this particular pin, the starter pin, at this point is because I actually don't have to take it out at all. It's so far away from the foot of my machine that I can just leave it in the entire time. If my strips, or when my strips become a little bit longer, say 9.5, 10.5 inches, I'm actually going to want to find a midpoint as well. So again, I pin the two corners, I fold them together, I bring them to meet, and then I use my finger to kind of press them apart, to pull them apart, and then find what I'm calling the midpoint. I want to make that edge as flush as possible and get another pin and put that in. When I sew, again, I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance. As I get close to the pin, I'm going to take it out and then proceed to the end of the strip. What we're going to get here is a strip that is sewn to the base piece without it kind of moving along. And I know folks might say, well, it's on the straight of grain. Why would it stretch? I didn't cut this on the bias. But if you don't use this technique, my personal experience has been that yes, it will kind of move along, and over time, over an entire block, it'll create kind of your edges will not be square anymore. You'll have more warble, more wave, and things won't sit nicely when you piece all the blocks together and you're ready to assemble your entire, or to quilt your entire quilt. Just for kind of future reference, if my strips got substantially bigger than they're going to get for this block, but say 25 inches bigger than that, I would also start to find the midpoint between my corner and midpoint. Again, I would put these two bits together. I'd put the edge to the midpoint, find that spot, and then pin it so that I could basically distribute the ease along the way evenly. And that's how we're going to attach our strips as they get longer.